stop. Spoiler warning. Just so you know, I do talk about spoilers in some capacity in this video. I don't remember if I said anything major story-wise, but if you are trying to go into Legends of Arceus blind and you haven't gotten a chance to play it at all, make sure you start playing it, because I'm going to be using footage and talking about stuff just willy-nilly in this video. So viewer beware. This is a spoiler alert. All right, let's get on with it. Pokemon Legends Arceus is the best Pokemon game to ever exist. Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I am here to gush about Pokemon Legends Arceus, if you couldn't already tell. Oh my god. Okay, so it's been a little over 2 weeks, maybe almost 3 by the time this video gets up, and I haven't stopped playing Pokemon. I wanted to do one immediately. Okay, so I wanted to make this video before I beat the game, and then I thought, oh, well, I just want to keep playing. I'm just going to keep playing. And then I beat the game, and then I thought, oh, well, maybe I'll just beat the post game. And then I just kept playing, and oh, it's so good. This video is basically, I don't know if I would call it a review, but I'm basically going to be gushing about Pokemon Legends Arceus this entire time. So buckle up. The one thing I want to get out of the way is my one and only complaint. The graphics are a little booty. There's a lot of weird stuff. There's some poppin'. The textures for at least the environments are not amazing. And then there's that thing with the models and they're like incredibly low frame rate when they're just far enough away from you that they haven't totally de-resed, but are also close enough that you can see them moving at 2 frames a second. That being said, there are plenty of models that look amazing. The Pokemon, obviously, they've done amazing work to make them feel like they actually live in the world. And on top of that, the character models look awesome, and honestly, the buildings look pretty good too. So aside from the graphics, there's really not much I have to complain about this game. I don't usually do this, but I made myself a little list of things to talk about to keep myself on task, because otherwise I could just keep going and I'd be bouncing around too much for this video. So I just wanted to kind of be straight here. I'm going to start with the game loop, then the story along with like characters and little intricacies around that, then the world building, and then finally I'm going to talk about my team, because I made a team building video a few weeks ago, right before the game came out, and things are not exactly what I thought they'd be. All right, to start off, the gameplay loop is amazing. I thought that this would be awkward and weird, and sometimes it is, but not enough to make me feel bad about it. The catching mechanic is awesome. I love it, especially when you hit a Pokemon right in the back and it makes an even more like satisfying bang. And when it hits them and it pulls them into the Pokeball, it's so good. The only thing I would change is maybe a little bit of the like feather ball mechanics, because it feels like those should hit really far. But you still end up with instances where it's like, oh, you are physically too far away to hit a Pokemon, so it just clocks them in the head. On top of that, the battle mechanics, I know a lot of people don't entirely like it, but honestly, I think this is a fresh new take on the battle system. It is still technically, to a degree, turn-based. However, now the turn order is completely mangled up and done some weird stuff. Now your turn order is dependent on what kind of moves you're gonna use, what your Pokemon speed stat is, and whether you're using agile or strong style, and I love that. I love that there's so much more to it than just clicking a button and no matter what you do, you're gonna go every other turn. I absolutely love that they've done something. It could use a little bit of tweaking, but I think in the next game and moving forward in general, I think that they are going to be doing some awesome stuff with the battle system to make it feel fresh for once. Meanwhile, the boss battles are so good. Now, granted, I didn't have too hard of a time with some of them because I play action games all the time. This game is half action, half turn-based, sort of. It's such an interesting game. The boss battles are such a welcome addition to this series. I love being able to dodge and roll and duck and dive away from a big Pokemon that's attacking me as a player. I love being able to play this game however I want, whether it's I'm going to do the action elements or I'm going to get into a traditional Pokemon battle. I know a lot of people are a little iffy about the action elements because not everybody's good at action games. Not everybody's gonna like the action elements. I'm good with them because I absolutely love them. However, I get it, especially for a series that has been slow and stagnant almost for 25 years. I get that stepping into an action element of gameplay is a little jarring, and it might even be hard for some kids. Heck, it might even be hard for some adults to play. But one thing that I will say about the boss battles is that there was always something that you could learn in the moment or after you beat them or after you get beaten. You can always learn something about their tendencies. They all have tells, they all have weaknesses in some capacity for the action elements. Some of them you may even want to wait until they're in a lull to attack them with the bombs rather than trying to attack them while they're attacking you. It is just so much fun, and I hope that they bring these action elements forward in some capacity. I do want to talk about the Pokemon moves. Now, this isn't exactly a game loop thing. However, it is part of the game loop. You in this game can have any move at any given time in a Pokemon's move pool on your Pokemon. If they've learned it before, you can immediately swap it out. There's no reason for TMs. Well, okay, there are some TMs that you have to pay for technically, but once a Pokemon has known it, it is for that Pokemon to use, and you can freely swap out moves at any given time, and that's awesome. I hope they move this forward. It is so useful. You don't have to go to a move relearner or a move deleter. You just do it, and it's so fluid, and I love it. Now let's talk about shiny hunting. I love shiny hunting, but I also can see how it is not all that fun for most people. It kind of clicks off in a part of my brain that feels like I need to just do it, and then I get that dopamine boost, and it makes me feel good, and I feel very, very good when I get a shiny. But this is like on another level. This is shiny hunting in general in this game is on a whole other level. For one, because all of the Pokemon are just out in the open and there's no battle screen for you to see the hidden shiny, you could just run into shinies. That's just it. I've had a couple. I ran into, I think it was like a Psyduck and a Combee, and unfortunately it was a male Combee. However, I just literally ran into them. There was nothing I had to do in order to make them appear. They just appeared, and then it shoots off that like the stars and that little sound effect, and you know that they're in this vicinity, and it's just so satisfying. There is no way that they can go back to having Pokemon like be hidden behind like an overworld model and then a battle model. There's no way that they can do that, because this is just, it's everything I wanted. Not only that, but the actual shiny hunting mechanics actually pretty fun. I mean, okay, not fun, but it's way less tedious than I thought it might be originally. So because you can technically catch Pokemon without battling them, you can just roll up on these mass outbreaks and just throw a bunch of Pokeballs or run away and kind of do some sneaky stuff around them and make sure that you don't get into a battle, because apparently that messes with the table of spawns. But apparently the mass outbreaks get you like 25 extra rolls or 24 extra rolls or something crazy out there than normal. And if you just do it correctly, it just works. There's no second guessing. There's no hidden secrets that you have to like kind of get around. It's after my complaints about the Poke Radar in, I guess technically BDSP, but really in general, this is a welcome change, and I absolutely love it. I actually spent the entire night before recording this hunting for a shiny Zoroark, and I got it. It was like the last outbreak that I was gonna do for the night, and I was tired, and then suddenly it appeared, and I was so stoked. I have not had this much fun shiny hunting in a very long time. So between being able to see shinies in the overworld in general and having them potentially pop up, it also is just super fun to shiny hunt and actually do the mechanic that they put in the game. I absolutely love it. It is for sure. I put easily 70 plus hours into just the story parts of the game. I can see myself playing this game for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours just shiny hunting, and I'm so excited. All right, let's move on to the story and overall like the characters, because oh my god, was this one of the best stories that they've ever told. I won't get into any of the major spoilers, but let me just say Silene is awesome. I love her involvement. I wish she was in the story even more than she already is. Laventon and Akari, for me Akari, I guess it would be Ray for the other if you chose female character player player character, but your companions are so much fun to be around, and I love that after each major mission you go and basically have a meal with them as if you're like decompressing, and it's just so good. And also, their stomachs are going to be messed up from all that potato mochi. My God. As for Kamado, my own expectations were sort of met. I knew where his story was gonna go in some capacity, but honestly, I'm a little disappointed in the end. I think if they pushed him just a little bit further into where they wanted him to be, then it would have been perfect. But I will say that I really like hearing a little bit about his backstory with Benny, the potato mochi vendor, and how their experiences together in their past have kind of shaped what happens in the story and why they came to Hisui and why they built up the Jubilife village. Meanwhile, Wanda sucks. If you know Wanda, you know. Wanda is a terrible, terrible character. I hate her. No, I don't. How can I hate her? I just wish that she would stop getting lost. Please, for the love of God, Wanda. Meanwhile, each character had awesome facial expressions. It like complete contrast to past games where a lot of the characters just feel like they're just the model and they did very little. Most of the characters have awesome facial expressions when it's appropriate, especially Akari, or I guess the other character that you don't play as. It's just so much fun seeing their faces, and especially with Irida when she's like in a hot place because she hates the heat. It's just so funny seeing these facial expressions on her and having her actually feel like a real person, having them all feel like real people. Meanwhile, there's another thing that I wanted to talk about that is a complete departure from Pokemon in general. I feel, at the very least, of more modern Pokemon games. There is an awful lot of talk about death in this game, whether it be just things that happened in the past or what's gonna happen to you. They literally, the first thing that they say to you is, if you go out into the wild without any kind of protection, you're gonna die. That's it. You're gonna die. And there's multiple moments where like, especially Kamado is like, I could just throw you out. I don't have to help you. You don't have to be part of our village. Nobody trusts you right now. So I could just throw you out and leave you to your death. There's so many times that it's just like they legitimately reference the danger and the threat of being a human with no protection, especially in the Hisui region with Pokemon that are super aggressive. It is a breath of fresh air because it is just so refreshing to have them talk about real consequences to your actions, to other people's actions. It's great. Like I said, I won't spoil anything, but before the first Noble, you hear about like, oh, the Pokemon's going into a frenzy, and how a bunch of people legitimately got hurt trying to calm it down before you went and tried. In any other Pokemon game, it would literally just be, oh, they got scared away, or oh, they are too afraid to go over there, or oh, the Pokemon roared real loud and everybody kind of didn't do anything. It's usually a matter of being afraid or getting scared away, or they tiptoe around the idea of death and people getting hurt in Pokemon games a lot of times. So it's really, really cool to see them kind of grapple with some real serious stuff. And what's a story with real serious stuff without awesome looking cutscenes? My God, the best looking cutscenes that I've ever seen in Pokemon ever. And I know that's because it's the newest game in general, but like, holy crud. Whenever the legendaries show up, it is a treat. It is so cool and it's just awesome. I love the art direction. It is so cool. And in the cutscenes, they kind of pull all of the stuff that I've already talked about together. The characters are reacting in a believable way, especially your main character, the player. It is so cool seeing them react. And there's even a part where it's like, something is about to happen and you throw a Pokeball just right at the right moment to protect yourself, and it's so cool. It's just awesome. It all just looks so pretty, and it's exactly what I've always wanted in Pokemon games. Now let's talk about world design, because oh boy, does this game have it going on. Listen, so I talked about the graphics at the beginning, but honestly, if you can get world design and world building done right, the graphics are kind of secondary in that way. For one, the village starts out relatively small, and it grows over time. I was surprised as all get out whenever a new building would pop up, or something, or one of the the vendors would have something new, or whatever. You do certain quests to kind of build out your relationships with other characters, and every time you did something, it felt like it actually had an effect on the village, whether it be unlocking more spaces for the farms or helping out the merchants with certain quests in order to help them build up their inventory. It's so cool. And even there's some parts where it's like you're leaving Pokemon in the care of other characters, and it's because they needed a Pokemon, so they needed a Pokemon to help them with their task of everyday life. And it's just super cool to see this small village that is clearly filled with characters that are afraid of Pokemon and don't understand what's going on around them, and slowly see them opening up and building and growing bigger. It's so cool. And just as I mentioned, there's plenty of side quests. There's some side quests that you could probably just leave and not do at all. I think there's close to at least 100 of them, if not more, if you're counting the story quests as well. I never found myself lacking in stuff to do. The entire time I felt like I had something to do, whether that be a detriment to my own playthrough because I'm kind of neurotic about finishing stuff up or not. It always felt like there was something to do, and I absolutely love that. And honestly, the quests don't always feel boring. Some of them involve you going to look for stuff, or some of you involve just having a Pokemon on your party, or just giving a Pokemon away. And just as I was saying with the village growing, there are some quests that have cascading effects throughout the story. At the very beginning of the game, you get a request from one of the guards at the expedition headquarters, and he wants a Wurmple, and the effects of that quest grow as you play the game, and slowly but surely his Wurmple evolves. It's just so cool to see these individual actions and individual plot points kind of mixed together and have an effect on each other. Not only that, but even outside of the village, there's some world building. There's even a quest involving a Vulpix and a character from Alola who calls it Kyo. I just love it when characters, whether they be main characters or NPCs that are completely unrelated to the main story, I love it when they reference the world outside of the game itself, because it absolutely makes the game feel just like a piece of the overall world, and that's awesome. Speaking of a piece of the overall world, there are so many characters with ancestors in this game. It is so crazy, and some of them are hidden because then you would never even notice. Some of them are a little more subtle. The most obvious ones being Komodo being Rowan's ancestor, and Xylene being Cyrus's ancestor. And you can even see some of the vendors subtly being ancestors of characters from other games. Like the main shop vendor, Choi, he's clearly Charon from Team Galactic's ancestor. Same with Derek's ancestor, who runs the clothier shop. This game is just so unbelievably awesome, whether it be the characters or the story or the world building and its design. And I haven't even talked about the ride Pokemon. The ride Pokemon are so good. Yeah, well, okay. I don't really like how Braviary feels. It's a little too floaty, and you can't really go up unless you're like, you land on something higher and then you go back up into the sky. It's a little awkward, but most of them feel really good. My favorite ride Pokemon is easily Sneezler. I love being able to climb stuff, but also I love the idea of playing as the Pokemon and being like in the little backpack behind it. It's so cute, and I love it, and you could see my little eyes popping through the slot in the little backpack it has on. It's so cute. I love it. So now let's talk about my team. I honestly don't know exactly what I said in my video. I think I said I was going to use like an Abomasnow or something like that. That did not happen at all. My team building video was not super concrete. I had some that I was more solid about before, but not entirely sure, especially because I wasn't sure where like the distribution of the Pokemon were, because I don't always like waiting for my team. If a Pokemon's really late in game, then I may not end up using it, so it's hard to know for sure. But I ended up loving my team, and honestly, I'm a little surprised by who I ended up using. My team ended up being Typhlosion, of course, my boy. I love Typhlosion. Typhlosion looks so much better in game. I love him. He's awesome. And then I ended up using 5 Pokemon that I'm genuinely surprised that I enjoyed. And those are Weirdeer. I didn't think I would use Weirdeer. Holy moly. I ended up using Ursaluna. Ursaluna is a little less surprising because I needed a ground type, And there was a part of me that I really did kind of like Ursaluna, but wasn't sure about. But those are like 2 normal type Pokemon that I didn't think I would use. And then I ended up on a whim choosing to use Carnivine. I love Carnivine. I think Carnivine was done a disservice in this game because they got rid of a bunch of its moves. But ultimately, I enjoyed using it. It's a Pokemon. Carnivine is a Pokemon that I've never ever used before, and I've always wanted to. So this was the perfect chance. Then there was a Pokemon that I had thought about post my video coming out, I think, or maybe during, but I hadn't really settled on it. And that is, I ended up using a Alpha Walrein. I waited until I got to the Cobalt Coastlands and immediately made a beeline for the beach, and I was super excited to use it. I ended up boxing it for a little while because it was higher level than my team and I didn't want to over level it. But I actually really like using Walrein. Walrein's so cool, and I love that it's bigger than normal. And honestly, you know what? So my Ursaluna is not an alpha, but it is a big girl. It's on the bigger side because all the Pokemon have different sizes. And I love having 2 big Pokemon on my team. It's so cool. The final Pokemon is Sneezler. Now, granted, I did mention Sneezler, I think, in my team building video, but I wasn't entirely sure because I was just going off of those still images, and I wasn't entirely sure. But I really, really like Sneezler. I think Sneezler's cool. I think it gets a really good move pool with Drain Punch and Close Combat and Swords Dance. I like it a lot. So my team ended up being Typhlosion, Weirdeer, Ursaluna, Carnivine, Walrein, and Sneezler. And I would not change them for anything. My thoughts of using Basculegion went right out the window when I saw Alpha Walrein, and I don't regret it. Here are my final thoughts. If you are on the fence about Legends Arceus, absolutely pull the trigger. You will not regret it. This game has everything. It's got a great story, awesome writing, amazing characters. It is fun to play, which is probably most important. And even though its graphics are not amazing and crazy and out there, it is just so much fun, and you will absolutely not regret getting it. This game puts BDSP to absolute shame. BDSP has absolutely no place in this world now that Legends Arceus is out. I don't know what they were thinking about releasing it before. I guess because they knew that they would get some money out of it, but it is unbelievable. It blows it right out of the water. In fact, Legends Arceus probably blows out most, if not all, Pokemon games, all main series Pokemon games out of the water. My favorite Pokemon games for the longest time were Black and White, with a little bit of Black and White 2 added in. I think they've been dethroned, absolutely. So if you like Pokemon, you're looking for something new and fresh in some capacity, Legends Arceus is for you. You can collect Pokemon any way you want. That's kind of the main goal of the game, even more so than any other Pokemon game, and I guarantee you will have a blast. In fact, it's kind of killing me on the inside to stop and record and edit all of this, because I really just would prefer to be playing Legends Arceus right now. Well, that's it from me. I've made my piece on this subject. I love Legends Arceus so freaking much. I can't wait. I know Pokemon Day is probably going to come out the day after I upload this video, and I really hope that they announce a Legends Arceus DLC. I'm so excited to play more. I hope that there's more story for them to unfold. It's so exciting. Let me know though about what your experiences are down below in the comment section. What do you think of this game? What are your stories? Tell me about your explorations and what kind of teams you made. Who are your favorite Pokemon from this game? Whether they be new or old? Did you find new love for a Pokemon that you've never really thought about before, like with me and Walrein? Let me know down below. I would love to talk about it. Also, if you enjoyed anything I had to say, make sure to leave a like. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you want to see more from me, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell, and that way you'll get notifications when I upload stuff. I will see you guys very soon, hopefully. I'm probably going to have a reaction video to the Pokemon Day Presents, so stay tuned.